Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Sunday pregame show. And I see we already got OTH in the comments. We got L Word in the comments. It's going to be a good show, man.
Yeah, people are realizing that watching talking heads that are on those shows every day is fucking stupid because they say they give you an hour of content, and actually it's 20 minutes because of all the adverts that you guys have in the States. It's crazy.
And I've noticed that all the ex players always pick their ex team
That's boring,
for the
right?
win. So, like, it's not always like who they really believe is going to win. It's who they used to play for. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
God.
Yeah, 100%. It's so weird with me as well because you're picking your old team, but nobody who you played for is still there. And the NFL is such a quick change in league that you're not going to really hurt anybody too much. But it's just crazy. It's crazy that they pick that, and it's such unhonest.
I'm
They
leaving
seem
that
to
all,
all,
Joe.
yeah. they seem to go. They seem to go with like the same narrative as well. Like they all decide that, oh, I'm going to go down this route this week, and that's my narrative. Like that's my narrative for the season. Like no matter what the fuck happens, like the guys who say the Pittsburgh Steelers still have an awesome offensive line are just stupid. Like you're just lying to yourself. You think that you've gone with this narrative that the Steelers are hard in the trenches. Their offensive line is awful. Like it was the first example that came to head. I'm not some sort of Steelers hater.
No, that's all right. So crazy shit quick. You and I were talking about this off camera, but so some reports come through. OBJ got offered a 3-year deal from the Giants that's there for him if he wants, with about $35 million guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, take that if you don't want to win a Super Bowl.
He won't even work out for any of the teams.
Yeah, that's what worries me. There's no way if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm paying him that amount of money to go.
That kind of means that he's not healed, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's honestly every time. You do have to think though, if you're going to give him that amount of money, and this is the way that I know like European football teams work, is if they can recoup that money in shirt sales, jersey sales, then it's worth it, right? Like Ronaldo getting paid $600K a week. It's like, yeah, we make that much in selling shirts, like about him as well. So it's OBJ is going to sell shirts when they come in. So maybe it's worth it from a business point of view, but from a football point of view, you need to see him play before you pay him that amount of money.
No, I agree, but I did tell you this is one of those weird times. Like you almost want to just fucking bite it and go, okay, let's see what happens and just pay him, because all the teams who are in the sweepstakes right now are playoff teams as of right now. So you're almost like, do they? But then if you're the Giants, that's more for putting asses in the stands because they have to redo their whole roster after this season.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams there's only a couple of teams that can really afford to take him at that price without blowing shit up in another way, like having to cut people somewhere else. And what one team is the Cleveland Browns, as they have $32 million in cap space this season.
Yeah, do you ever think he'd go back after OBJ's dad did that shit, like OBJ or OBS, Odell Beckham Sr.? Yeah.
So they're obviously off the table. But I mean, one team, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, that's if you're OBJ who wants to play there too. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, me too. I still think he's going to be a Dallas Cowboy at the end of it. Jerry does some weird cat magic where if he wants a guy, he'll get a guy, and it feels like he wants Odell Beckham. I'm not saying it's the best idea ever, but it'll be fun to watch anyway. Right.
Well, let's hit some games. So first up on my list comes up the Jets at the Vikings. It started at a 4-point spread. It is now a 3-point spread.
Crazy.
So, hey, Vegas does not have a lot of faith in the Vikings, even if they winning by more than 3 lately. So all them close games, I kind of get it. So Jets -3 at Minnesota with White starting at quarterback.
Yeah, so I feel like I saw that and was like, what the fuck? Like that's pretty crazy, right? Like the Vikings
9 games within
yeah.
one score. I get it. And I
Yeah.
like that. I like being the underdog. As soon as you're the favorite, shit starts to go sideways.
Yeah, but like one score -3, like maybe a minus like 4.5, like 5.
It
Like
did
I would be
start
like,
at
yeah,
4, if that makes you feel any better.
yeah,
And then the
that
bet
does make me feel
came in.
better. Yeah, that does make me feel better. But it was just, it's looking at it like the Jets are starting a backup quarterback. It doesn't matter if their backup quarterback played better than Zach Wilson has played all year last week, but still they're playing a backup quarterback.
It's a backup quarterback who says he should have been the first overall pick.
Yeah, well, like that's part of a quarterback's makeup, right?
I want
Like
to hear
all
that, though.
quarterbacks should have that.
If he's my quarterback, I want him to believe that.
Yeah, I really do. I like Mike White. I'm not saying that I don't like Mike White. I'm thinking if it's the Jets team that starts the year out, I get it. But the Jets have taken some injuries recently. They aren't playing that explosive style. Their defense is terrifying, but they're not. Their explosive style of football is kind of regressing. And yeah, Mike White had a great game. Is that a one great game blip that quarterbacks often have, like backup quarterbacks often have? We'll see. I hope not. I'm leaving Garrett Wilson in my fantasy team just on the off chance that it's not a blip. But I'm going to take the Vikings to cover the spread in that one.
Yeah, like I said, it's just their defense scares me. It does, because that's a really good defense. And the games that they have not looked like a good defense, their offense have let them down.
Yeah, and yeah, 100%. And also, but then you've also got to look at their offensive line is taking a few injuries as well. It's not the offensive line that they started out with.
Still out.
Yeah. So your offensive line is terrifying. Like that's a worry for me against this Jets team. That's the only way they can get to you if Kirk Cousins spends all of his time on their ass and they just run the ball down your throat because you can run on the Vikings. They leave that space in the middle.
DT is back today, baby. Tomlinson back in the lineup. Big boy on the line. We've been really missing him. He eats up double and triple teams, so that should help. I will say, though, I'll give those young guys who filled in some credit. Dude, nobody expected you to play that much. You 100%. Played through 4 games. You did a pretty good job, and it just gives them playing time for the future. So being that they won a lot of those games, it might work out better in the long run that they got to play some games.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily a game that I would bet on, but I feel like the Vikings -3 is a bit disrespectful to your record, really.
Well, I don't ever bet on my team because I feel like the second any of my teams I put money on, I just jinx them.
Yeah, plus it's if you lose, it's double down horrible. Like
and
winning, if you're a true fan of your team, winning is enough. Like I don't need to win money in order to be absolutely
I'd rather win money
happy.
on a Bills game or a Cowboys game than a Vikings game.
Yeah, 100%. I don't need the money to enjoy that Vikings game, but to enjoy that Cowboys win. Like I don't need the money, but if we lose, then I have to get over the money and get over the loss. It's not worth it.
So Denver at the Ravens, 9.5. Ravens are favored by. It's a big spread, but Denver looks bad. Russell Wilson looks bad. The team has turned on Russell Wilson. It's not a good time in Denver. I hate this is almost a double-digit spread because you have to win by 10 to win it. But I'm still going to take the Ravens just because I got zero faith in the Broncos, but it wouldn't shock me if they covered the spread.
Yeah, I still don't really know where I am with the Broncos and how much it's coaching and how much it's this and how much it's Russell Wilson and have you seen these things? We should do them, by the way. They're really cool. They're YouTube shorts, and it's where you have like a filter and it picks like a random football team on your head, and like you have to pick a player from that and build a roster out of build a quarterback, running back, but you don't know the next team that's going to come up. And loads of people take Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver when the Broncos come up, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what's Jerry Jeudy proved? Like, I feel like we give Jerry Jeudy a bit of a pass as well. I'm not like Russell Wilson has been shit this year. Also,
I think the reason he gets a pass is because nobody feels like he's played with a good quarterback yet.
Yeah, but I know, but like if you're a great wide receiver, you make your quarterback look better. That's a needless shot at Jerry Jeudy, by the way. It's just something that's been getting to me for a while that people keep on picking Jerry Jeudy over. Like when the defense is wide open for you to put the Broncos defense in there, people pick Jerry Jeudy. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, anyway, I'm gonna take the Ravens to win, but the Broncos to be within 9 points. The Ravens lost to the Jags last week. They only beat the Panthers. They only scored 13 points against the Panthers. They're a very up and down team for me, the Ravens. Like I don't know what I'm going to get, which is weird for the Ravens. Like I just don't know what I'm going to get week to week.
Are you projecting because of Lamar?
No.
You got to play Lamar this week. So
I'm consigned to losing to you this week. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm so ready because we're both 100% in the playoffs.
Yeah, because I was even a smartass in the chats. I said, now that I locked up a first round bye, should I start resting players?
Yeah, it's like I'm just like, do you know what? Like Justin Fields get healthy, Jamar Chase get healthy. Like I'll lose every single fucking game as long as they're healthy by the playoffs. I'm in good shape.
You want that bye though? You gotta get ahead Duffy for that bye.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have to beat you for that, and I just don't think that's going to happen this week. I think the
only projected to beat you by like 8-9 points or something, and that's because Stephon Diggs already went off.
Yeah, and it's because they think that Jamar Chase is going to put up 18 points despite coming off a hip injury this week. I mean, I'm keeping him in there because
Jamar Chase. He might.
He's worth he's worth it to keep in there, but I just don't see that happening. But yeah, I don't love the Ravens, but the Broncos are in a terrible place right now. The Broncos play good defense. They'll probably keep it within 9 points, but Ravens win.
Well, here's the next game is a little crazy to me. It is the Steelers at the Falcons, and the Falcons are a 1 point dog at home.
Yeah. So that gives the Steelers 4 points, right?
Yeah, if they were on neutral field. Yeah. So
it's fucking insane.
What I'm saying right now is I'm taking Atlanta in the money line on this one. I think Atlanta wins, but all of you probably don't follow me because every time I pick against the Steelers, they win. It seems to be the trend this year. I pick against the Steelers win.
Yeah. So I like the direction that the Steelers are going in. I think they're doing a lot for Kenny Pickett. Like they're making Kenny Pickett look really good. George Pickens looks like a fucking alien. Like he's awesome.
That's why they wouldn't trade him when they got those first round offers for him this year.
Yeah, he's a freak. Like he makes amazing catches. Like Kenny Pickett just has to put it in the vicinity of. Do you know what George Pickens fits the Atlanta Falcons style of what they want to do? If we get a quarterback that's half decent enough to like just throw it in the general vicinity of any of our wide receivers, they can go make a play for it, right? And Marcus Mariota doesn't seem to be that guy. He's a bit too like Marcus Mariota. I just want to see him be a bit more gun-ho, like with the wide receiver options he has. Like just Drake London will body someone. Like, so just throw that up there. Kyle Pitts will body someone. So just like pull the gun, see what happens. Like, let's just see what goes on. But I love the way that Falcons offense plays the game. And I think that they've got it over on the Steelers. I think this idea that the Steelers defensive line is big, bad Steelers defensive line. TJ Watt is still coming back off that injury. I'm going to pick the Falcons in this one as well. I'm going to take the money line.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I like Mariota too. I don't love him. I don't want him to be my starting quarterback for a full year, but I like Mariota.
It's not that I don't like Mariota. It's in this style of offense. I want somebody who, like, I would prefer Zach Wilson in this style of offense and Marcus Mariota at the Jets, because Zach Wilson will just go like, yeah, fuck it. Drake London's huge. Like, let's just throw it at him. Whereas Marcus Mariota has the ability to say, do you know what? That's a risky throw. I'm going to run it with my legs. And it's like, okay, but that's not the point. Like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't have a problem with Mariota, but I did pick Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that they're playing too with the players they have. I did not think they'd even be as good as they are right now. Not saying that they're great or whatever, but I thought they'd be even worse. And they're kind of a fun team to watch because when they win gritty.
Yeah, exactly. To be honest, the Falcons aren't that good. Like, they're playing
No,
in the worst division in football right now. So they get to play against the Panthers twice. They've lost one of them. They get to play against the Saints, who aren't looking that good. The Bucks are a bit up and down. So they are in this division, and their schedule's incredibly easy and things like that. But they're entertaining. Like, there's a lot to be said for if you're shit, right? If you're the Texans. No, the Texans isn't fair because they're building something different. But if you're like the Bears this year, like the Bears have become entertaining. So people watch them and they talk about them and stuff like that. Like, if you're, I don't know, who's terrible? If you're the Broncos, go away from whatever the fuck you're trying to do and just rain bombs down on teams and just see what happens and like go from there. But there's something to be said in being entertaining rather than good once you're at a certain point in the season.
Well, let's move on to a game where let's talk some disrespect in point spreads. The Jags at the Lions. The Lions are a 1.5 point favorite. If I'm the Jags, I'm pissed off because I think the Jags win this game by at least 6.
Wow, okay. Have you seen the over-under on this, by the way? 51.5 points.
Yeah.
Oh, I could so fucking see that as well, man. That'd be so much fun. Like 51.5 points. That's gonna be a fucking great
Jay
game.
Glazer is saying right now OBJ's heading to Chicago or to Dallas tomorrow and will make his decision by the end of the week.
Yeah. He was always going to Chicago. He was always,
I did that. I saw the Sion Cowboys, and then they have a Chicago picture up. My bad.
Because like we were saying how they're the only ones who can actually afford him and not worry about it. But he was always heading to Dallas on Monday. Apparently, he's
but they said he will decide this week.
Right. Now. Okay. Good. Hopefully, it's about time.
So sorry, I cut you off. Jags, Lions.
Yeah, fucking 51.5 point over under. That's so much fun. Like, if you're gonna bet an over under,
I'd probably take the over on the points.
Yeah.
Well, be so much fun. I want to say to Bone James, I thought the same thing until we found out yesterday. His team, there's people saying he wants back in a big market like New York. I don't know if that's true, but we know for a fact New York offered him 3 years with 35 to 40 million guaranteed in that. So I was all on me and Maddie had a discussion about this, and it was all Bills or Cowboys to me.
Yeah.
And now it's like, are the Giants really in the lead?
Yeah. The Bills and Giants, the Bills and Cowboys still make the most footballing sense, right? But money sense. I mean, OBJ is
big market.
But OBJ is a big market. He kind of brings a big market with him anywhere he goes. And let's be like, Dallas is still a big market, isn't it? Like the 4th biggest market in the, and you're playing for America's team they have 5 prime time games
behind Houston, which I always think bothers Dallas.
That's funny. Yeah, that must bother Dallas, right? Yeah, that must be horrible. But yeah, so the Drags Detroit game, I feel like maybe a bit of a weird matchup for the Jags. Like, I feel like the Jags can be run on. I feel like the way that Detroit plays, Trevor Lawrence is going to have to play really well. They're going to put the pressure on Trevor Lawrence, and will Trevor Lawrence rise to it? And that defensive line has been getting better and better and better as we've been talking about.
Will they rise to it? Will he?
No. Personally, for me,
no, that's what I was. So you got Detroit.
I'm gonna take Detroit to cover the spread in this one because that Detroit defensive line is getting a lot better as well. But also, Travis Etienne can have a big day and take the pressure off Trevor Lawrence as well.
I'm with OTH on this, and I know Shug is, a Florida native. So, but I like what the Jags are doing. I am really I think the future is very bright for the Jags. Trevor Lawrence has impressed me last week a lot with watching that game. But there's days I'm impressed with the Lions, and there's days where I'm like, same old Lions.
Yeah. The days where you say same old Lions, though, are games where it's like you should have really won that. Or like games where it's like a big time game, whereas this is the mid-afternoon slot. Like nobody's watching this game realistically unless like I think you should. It's the biggest over-under in terms of points in the league this year. I'm probably going to keep a close eye on it as well. I'll be watching the 40 minutes of it definitely to see what goes on. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence is best in games when nobody fucking watches them, by the way. Like, if you look at all of Trevor Lawrence's best performances when nobody's watching that game, it's so he could have that pressure taken off.
This should be a political banner. Like, fuck the whatever, so-and-so 2024 or whatever. That should be a political banner here, like, for real. Yeah, I don't know. I like that we didn't pick the same one because it makes that game more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got a few different ones against the spread so far, but like this is two different teams. It's exciting.
So with the Titans-Philly, I bet we're going to be different on this one too, because the Eagles are 4.5-point favorites. And if I could fucking gamble in Wisconsin and I can't,
VPN.
I'm taking Titans in the money line. Titans win by 6.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why quick. They're going to play defense, and they're going to hold that ball. They're going to win the time of possession. And sooner or later, a 10-1 team has to shit the bed.
Okay. Yes, I agree with you. Also, we were so on the idea of Derrick Henry as a scat back this year.
Hey, he's proved me wrong. I can admit he's put his head down.
But go back and still watch it. We're still right. He's just like his offensive line is so shit that he's having to put his head down.
But he's added to his arsenal, I feel like.
Yeah, 100. Also, he's a big fucking dude. Like if he falls over, he's going to gain like at least 3 yards. Like as long as he falls forward. So I really like. Don't put that on here. What if the government are watching? Like, what are you doing? I don't want to be implicit in this illegal gambling activity.
Hey, don't get me started because I might be Cash App and Shug some money this week for next Sunday. So
I can also put that bet on for you. By the way, man, if we want to like break laws across international
I don't like
borders.
your taxing. I don't like your taxing over there.
Oh yeah, you know.
If I'm not getting free healthcare, I'm not paying for it.
Yeah. This is. Do you know what? This is why a scrapyard wouldn't work in the UK. It'd be too much of a strain on the NHS, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. It's the CPD sponsorship that we've got coming through for some of our shows and stuff as well. Like
I'm betting you're taking the Eagles since you keep getting interrupted though.
So do you know what? I'm going to take the Titans. I'm going to manifest.
Oh,
I'm going to manifest.
Let's go. It's going to happen now. Let's go. Hey, both our teams want this so bad.
Yeah. Which
the
is
Cowboys
why
and the Vikings want the Eagles to lose so fucking bad.
Yeah. So I totally agree with everything that you're saying. I also think the loss of the Eagles safety, like the Eagles are getting banged up at a really bad time. Like the hit that the safety took last week. He should be out for concussion, right? I'm not.
Yeah, they're down a safety.
Yeah. He should be out. Gardner Johnson.
And I know I give him a lot of shit, but holy fuck is Sirianni a good coach?
Yeah, I mean he's a total asshole, but like, yeah, great coach. He's so Philly. Like he's the perfect Philly coach. It's like Rocky Balboa is coaching the Philadelphia Eagles. So yeah. But yeah, I like what Derrick Henry's doing. I totally agree with you. He's putting his head down. I still think he's a scat back. I still think we're right. It's just he's also massive, so it just helps. It makes it look like
I've never seen him being that willing to get in there like he is this year. Me and you talked about it. It's always are you willing?
Yeah, he's got the most yards after contact this year, and that's genuinely because the Titans' offensive line is garbage. Like it is really bad, and Derrick Henry's making it look good. I do worry about the Eagles' ability to stop the run. Like they are pretty fucking huge in the middle of that defensive line. So we'll see if King Henry's scat back stuff might work better this week than his running style stuff for the rest of the year.
Whoops, sorry. I have to believe Vrabel is going to have this team ready on the defense for like
100%.
If you watch those games where people get killed by Jalen Hurts, is because they don't keep lane integrity. They don't stay in the rush lanes, and he's like Michael Vick. He goats you. He goats you into coming out of that lane because you think, oh, I can get him, and then he's so fast and slippery, he's gone.
Yeah, I think if there's a team that this is a bad matchup for the Eagles, I totally agree with you. Like a bad coaching matchup.
He squats like 700 pounds.
Vrabel. Oh, Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Wild, right?
Wild. That's why people bounce off that dude. It's like 6-something he's squatting. And I'm like, you're a quarterback, bro.
I love it's something that Chris Sims does at the start of the season. It's his coach quarterback Royal Rumble rankings, right? And he goes like 1 to 32 of the coach quarterback Royal Rumble. Like if they were all like just thrown into a ring together, who's coming out victorious, right? And honestly, it's got to be Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have to be in the top 3 or 4 of that conversation, right?
I just know if there's a fight, I'm going with Vrabel.
Yeah. So Vrabel and Tannehill, not a bad decision either. Like, but you
feel
like
I don't even care if Tannehill gets knocked out. It's Vrabel, bro. Like,
yeah, exactly. You feel like Tannehill's like the best one. I always thought would have a good chance was when Roethlisberger was with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I will say when it comes to Tannehill, he does look like that buddy who might not be able to fight, but he'll still ride with you. Like he doesn't care if he gets beat up.
He'll scrap that shit. He'll take the punches for Vrabel. Like he'll stand up. Like he'll still be standing. It's just he's not going to hurt anybody. Maybe break a fist. Like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer has that. He has like an enlarged skull or something, so he can take a beating and then just pushes people over when they get tired. Like he doesn't hold up any defenses. That's Ryan Tannehill.
So the next game's going to be Cleveland and the Texans, which the NFL set this up so perfectly. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's hit a quick word from our boy Freezes.
What's good? It's your homie, Freezes Christ. Y'all know the deal. Make sure y'all head on over to overtimehustling.com where you can catch all the latest merch, all the newest mags, all the media, everything, know what I mean? And you can also find me on Winging It with the homies Keith G, King Dale, and Payne Gusto. And you can catch me on Turf Tales with the homie SK. And if you got nothing to do on Sundays, even if you do got something to do, make sure you tap in the Overtime Reactions hosted by the homie Cuzzo. And I cannot forget the homie Jay over there at the Yankee and the Brit channel. So make sure y'all go over there and check them out. And hey, check me out, your boy Freezes, on that Real Talk with Jay. It was a hell of an interview, yo. Gotta do it again. I keep saying it because I mean it. We gotta do it again. I had a great motherfucking time. But anyway, you know who it is. Freezes H, OTH, Yankee and the Brit, Winging It, Turf Tales, Overtime Reactions, Chronicles Podcast. You know the drill, Cush's Corner. It's a motherfucking movement. So move with it. Or move out the motherfucking way. Simple and plain.
Overtime hustling, we hustling overtime.
Simple and plain.
Okay, I don't know if it's because I've only started wearing like half decent earbuds like recently. Dak and Mike McCarthy mid-table at best. Like Mike McCarthy has no bottle. Like
hey, he's a Pittsburgh guy. He'll go down fighting.
Yeah, but he'll get the shit kicked out of him. Like that's the thing. But yeah, that you can hear Freezes' fire alarm beeping.
No, my dog runs out of the room every time because she hates those. That beep. So I told Freezes once that he's going to burn to death with that battery in the background.
Yeah, that fucking thing. Sorry, I've just noticed it. That's the first time that I've noticed it. Sorry to point it out to everybody.
So Cleveland, Houston, I know the NFL knew what the hell they were doing when they suspended Watson for, 11 games, odd number to get him. So
yeah, it's normally a 12-game suspension or
even 10 suspension, or even 10, right? It's like that 11. So what happens is they bring them back on purpose to play the Texans. The Texans are kind of in a bad spot right now too. 7.5 points. I don't know though. For a guy who hasn't played in almost 2 fucking years, I don't know what to think.
I'm taking the Texans with the money line on this one.
Okay, with the money line, you don't want the point. You think the Texans winning straight up?
No, fuck it. I don't want the points.
See, I was taking the Texans in the points, but okay.
No. Money line. That's what I want. All I'm thinking is Deshaun Watson. What we've seen of Bone James doesn't like this one. What we've seen of Deshaun Watson is what we've seen of Deshaun Watson is how shit he was in the preseason, right? He looked terrible. Like, he didn't look good. In his camps, he doesn't look good. Like, he looks like he's put on a bit of weight. He hasn't played into that game is fast. And the Texans are this weird team, right, where they seem to be doing so much right and losing that I feel like this game is where they could put it all together. Now, if the Browns, and I'm sure Kevin Stefanski probably won't, and this will fuck me over in my entire pick, but if the Browns do what they should do and not let Deshaun Watson throw the ball pretty much at all, like to start it off, and just run the ball with Nick Chubb, they'll win this game. But I'm hoping that the owner isn't going down to Kevin Stefanski and being like, we need to make Deshaun Watson look good, otherwise I'm going to look like a fucking idiot. So they'll play on that side of like, will Deshaun Watson drop back and pass 30 times? Because if that's what they do, then the Texans are probably the Texans have a good chance of winning this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans in the money or in the points because I think that the Browns probably win, but I want that 7.5 to make me feel better.
That 7.5 is a lot as well, by the way. Like, that is a lot for a quarterback who hasn't played for 2 years. When the Texans aren't playing that bad football, like, that's the thing.
Well, we'll see if Amari Cooper can go off. You'll love that.
Yeah. Again, I'm consigned to losing this week. I'm fine.
All right, to two of your favorite teams, the Commanders and the Giants. This is a 2.5 point spread, which I think it should actually be a little more with the Giants at home. So I like the way the Commanders have been playing, but the Giants have kind of been slowly making me a believer of them. Not that they're going to win the Super Bowl, but that they're better than I gave them credit for. Danny Dimes is playing better than he did last year, even though I wouldn't put him near great or anything. So yeah. I'm taking the Giants plus the 2.5.
Yeah, I've got the Commanders as favorites, right? So the Commanders -2.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah, the Commanders, the Giants are being disrespected at home because the Commanders are ahead. But I'm still taking the Giants to win this. So give me the 2.5 plus. I think they're going to win.
Okay. I'm also betting the under. I'm betting under 40 points on this game because I think it's going to be like a serious defensive battle.
Then you might as well do a parlay and give Danny Dimes like 10 yards or 30 yards or more rushing.
30 yards or more rushing, but those 30 yards come on a quarterback draw where he trips. Like where he's walking in and trips after a 30 yards.
It's the 20-yard line. It's 2 times now in his career he's tripped over the 20-yard line. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I like what the Commanders are doing on defense. I like how the Giants are coached. Well, actually, I hate both of those things, but in my neutral head, I like both of those things. Like the Commanders are playing great defense. The Giants are coached really well. Taylor Heineke's just some sort of like superhero freak in the second half of games who I absolutely love. And I kind of don't hate Danny Dimes as much as other people do either.
It was the Giants to win under the over-under. We're going under, and Danny Dimes for 30-plus rushing yards.
30-plus rushing yards. But he's only going to get 31 because he's going to trip over on that 31st yard of a big run.
Gamblers don't care. Just give me that 30.
Yeah, so, but I oh, shit. Who am I going to take in this one? I'm going to take this one's hard. This one's probably the most even game. They play 2 very similar styles of football. I really like how the Commanders have been playing defense, and Taylor Heineke just comes up big. So I'm going to take the Commanders, and with it only being -2, they're going to cover the spread as well.
So on to the Packers-Bears, which before we get into this, it just dawned on me. If the Vikings win today and the Lions lose, the Vikings win the North.
All right. I mean,
it probably won't. I mean, that's a if this and that, but we're at a point now where the Vikings are on you keep winning, and within the next 2 weeks, you're going to be division champs. So that kind of
Which
thing.
is crazy to start off the year. Like, we picked the Vikings to win the division at the start of the year.
I had them both going 12-5, and the Vikings winning the tiebreaker at the end of the year. So
is that with the Packers and stuff?
Yeah.
So I had the Packers. I didn't fancy the Packers as much as that, but nobody saw the Vikings being able to wrap up the division this early on, and that the Lions were the team that were going to have to lose for them to.
And I'm taking the Packers, and the Packers are going to win this game by at least 13.
All right. That is big. I like it. I'm going to take the Bears.
I knew that.
So I'm going to take the Bears. Packers are weak against the run. The Packers are weird, right? Because their stats say that they're not that bad against the run, but every time you watch them, they get dicked on in the run game. Like, every time I've watched them, I feel like they may not be giving up massive yards, but they can't stop a team that wants to run it on third down. Like, if it's third and short, they can't stop that. Like, they don't give up those huge plays. And if there's a team that convert well rushing on third down, it's the Justin Fields. They get a good dicking. I knew that one. That's a British saying, man. That's a British saying.
Don't worry, I said the Commanders fucked me a lot. So
that's a British saying. So I'm gonna take the Bears in this one. Bone James is hating my takes today, by the way.
Oh no, don't worry. I don't always get love in in the playlist. I get crushed sometimes, so don't worry.
I think Fields is gonna have a good day because his arm hurts, so he isn't gonna have to throw the ball at all. Which is gonna be helpful for him, right?
Yeah. Well, the over-under at 45 is crazy to me, though, because I would definitely go under on that game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you would go under on 45, right? 100%.
Well, I'm going to make this next game really simple, and then I'll get out of your way. Seahawks versus the Rams. The Rams suck balls this year. Give me the Seahawks. I don't care about the 6.5. The Seahawks win by more than that.
Yeah, the Rams might be the worst defend. No, it's big in you. Fuck. The Rams. The Rams must be the worst Super Bowl champions to ever play, right? That can't
the next year. It's bad this year. It's bad.
I can't think of anyone. The Rams are mid. The Rams are shit. I know mid means bad, but there's mid and then there's horrendous. Their offensive line can't stop anyone. And it just Sean McVay's entire defense works through that offensive line. They also struggle to run the ball, which doesn't help anything. The Seahawks are going to win this game. I'm going to agree with you and take the 6.5.
All right. The next game was the hardest game for me to pick. It was Miami at San Francisco. San Francisco's favored by 4.5 at home. I went back and forth, but after literally thinking about this last night, because I spent way too much time thinking about it for some reason, I got the 49ers, bang, bang, Niner gang winning this by more than 4.5. That defense. It's that defense. You just can't score on that defense a bunch.
So mine says 5.5. DraftKings right now, 5.5. What does that change anything? 5.5?
No, I said I think they win by about 7, so I would take them either way.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take the Dolphins, but I'm going to keep the points on that one. I don't see the Dolphins the Dolphins. The Dolphins offense. Sorry, if the Dolphins offense is slowed, more than usual, it means the guys aren't open as much. Because in the Dolphins' offensive scheme, their wide receivers are open the entire time. So if the 49ers slow them down a little, those guys are still open just by a little less.
The money line changed while we were talking. Not the point spread, but the money line just changed while we were talking.
Right. Okay. What's it saying to?
It went from plus 170 to plus 190 for the Dolphins.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that the Dolphins are going to win this game, but I'm going to take the points on that one. I love the way that the Dolphins offense functions. I think their defense is one of the most underrated in the entire NFL. And the 49ers they're still a bit hit and miss. Like I'm not really sure what they are at the moment, and they have a lot of injuries.
Same thing they've been the last 3 years.
Yeah, but they don't show up like every single time. It's like they have this identity, but then they only scored 13 points last week when they've got this amazing offense as well. I think you're going to have to score more than 13 points against this Dolphins offense.
You would normally think, but this defense, man, it's amazing, nasty. Yeah,
it's like people are comparing it to the '85 Bears, and I don't think that's the worst. Like I can see where people are going with it.
Win a Super Bowl, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah,
right.
I also hate comparing between eras as well. So, but you're going to have to score points to beat this Dolphins team in my eyes, especially to beat them by 5.5. You're going to have to score like a decent amount of points anyway. So I'm going to take the Dolphins, but I'm going to keep the money.
All right. Chargers versus Raiders. Raiders are 2.5-point favorites at home. Every time I take the Raiders, they bomb. And every time I go against them, they win. But I'm taking the Raiders to win this game by more than 2.5. Because the Chargers are in complete disarray.
Yeah, they're just injured absolutely everywhere. It's not really a fair reflection of the Chargers this year. Their offensive weapon is Austin Eckler. That's what they have. And they have the ghost of Keenan Allen. Like that's their offensive weapons this year. Right now because of injuries. So I don't want to shit on the Chargers too much. Like injuries do happen. Like it's unfortunate, like how they bunched, and they're still in a shout for a playoff spot as well, which is pretty good going for them. Do you know what? The Raiders have been great over the past 2 weeks. They seem to be getting everything clicking together. Josh Jacobs is an animal. So I'm going to take the Raiders to cover the spread as well.
All right. Chiefs at Bengals. The Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites on the road. I think this is a disrespectful spread. Give me the Chiefs. I don't think it's even close to 2.5 by the time this game's over.
The only reason that's 2.5 is because of the hype of Jamar Chase coming back. And the issue with that is the Chiefs' defense is much better than people give it credit for, especially the defensive line. And Jamar Chase's injury hasn't gone. It's just a niggly injury now. So he's not going to – it's a niggly injury, so he's not going to be as explosive as before. The Chiefs are going to win by at least 2.5.
All right. Well, on to your Cowboys versus the Colts. It's a 10.5-point spread,
which is fucking insane.
I think the Cowboys win this game, but give me the Colts in the 10.5.
Yeah, 100%. The Cowboys aren't winning this game by 10.5 points. They're not.
They could.
No way.
They could, but give me the Colts in the 10.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, nobody saw that coming if they do beat them by more than 10.5. But I just would never take that bet on the Cowboys because of the way that we play football is the way that we play football is we get ahead early and then we play conservative in the fourth quarter. That's the way that we go. So we give it up and we'll give up the point spread. Like we'll give up your point spread there. Also, Jeff Saturday's got the Colts playing more their brand of football, where they keep it close. Their offensive line is much improved. So our defensive line isn't going to have as much fun as it would have had 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to win. I'll also probably bet the over on points. I'm not entirely sure why. I just feel like it might be more than 44.5. I'm not feeling confident about our defense in this particular matchup because we can't defend the run too well. Like our run defense just isn't great. So I'm going to take the Colts to cover.
All right. Then our last game of the week before we bring in Shug will be the Saints versus the Buccaneers. 3.5-point favorites that the Bucs are at home. I think the Bucs probably win this easily. The Saints have not looked great this year. They don't look like the Saints that we all know. So give me the Bucs, and I don't care about the 3.5. So I'll take the Bucs minus the 3.5.
Give me the Saints. The Bucs shit the bed against the Saints every year. It's a bad matchup.
Brady or Dalton?
Well, yeah, obviously Brady. As much as I love Andy Dalton, but yeah, it's Brady. But Brady against the Saints is a different animal to Brady against everybody else. Is how it looks like. Their offensive line still not great.
I hope the Saints win because I'd rather see Atlanta or Carolina make the playoffs.
Yeah, fuck me too. Imagine if Sam Darnold makes the playoffs. That'd be great.
Hey, I would rather play Sam Darnold than fucking Brady in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. Also, Sam Darnold's undefeated this season. Just putting that out there.
That's because he's a baller, bro. We all know it.
Because he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. Like he's got the most talented arm I've ever seen of anyone. And for people who followed us since the early days, me and Jay have gone back and forth on Sam Darnold quite a lot, and I'm resigned to lose.
Text me, and we're gonna bring him in, but he took that Giants to win money line under 40 points and plus 30 for Daniel Jones. He took it. So
I like it.
Hey. If we help them win this one, it's a good little parlay.
Great. We'll work on a sponsorship deal for if you make that money. Sure.
Well, let's bring him in. What's up, Shug? Nice bet.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got you, man.
Yeah, my connection's a little wacky today, so.
That's all right.
But yeah, I was thinking we could make that a new segment. I'll take a bet each week. So.
How to lose Shug's money. We'll call it How to Lose Shug's Money.
Right, okay.
We got his picks up on the screen, and I see right away he got both our teams on there, Maddie.
Obviously. Are you so is that the Cowboys to cover the 10.5 spread?
No, that's just all the picks are just straight up. So
okay.
Straight up. Right, okay. Cool. What do you think about the 10.5 spread for the Cowboys against the Colts?
I think I would say it's like 60-40 not going to happen.
I'd agree.
Yeah, the Cowboys could come out and just, light it up in the first quarter. And then, the Colts catch on in the second half. But that's the only way I see like that 10-point spread happening.
Yeah, it's a totally plausible 10. It's not the worst 10-point spread I've ever seen in my entire life. I just don't trust the Cowboys to cover this Colts run game to that extent at all.
Well,
I feel like Cowboys come out and play like they did. I think it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when Pollard got his first start. And they had,
who was that against, Jay? Who was it against that we played the best game that we've ever?
It was like a purple.
Yeah.
I think they almost shut him out too.
Hey, I can mute both you motherfuckers.
I haven't said anything about the U.S. soccer team all day. I haven't said anything at all.
Still better than Wales, so that's okay.
I just want to put that out there.
Well, I just want to put out still better than Wales.
Yeah, damn fucking right. We were shit.
Hey, I talked a lot of shit knowing that it was going to blow up in my face too, so that was okay.
Sorry, Shug, you don't give a shit about European football. It's not all that. Let's get that straightforward. All right, so we've got the Dolphins next, right?
That's the one game where we differ on. So I want to know what made you decide to go with the Dolphins on that one.
The Dolphins, they got the Eagles, right?
No, 49ers.
Or the 49ers, yeah. The 49ers, I don't know. I just don't believe in Garoppolo. So, and I don't know, Christian McCaffrey hasn't really impressed me, like blown me out of the water since he's been there. I feel like there's like way too much hype around him at this point.
Okay.
Going in, he's having decent games, but he was almost having these same games in Carolina. They were just losing. So I don't really believe in the 49ers.
He's had that one game where he's got 40 fantasy points, threw for a touchdown, rushed a touchdown, and caught a touchdown, right? like one amazing game. And then I think the expectation was we'd just see those kind of fucking crazy numbers because of Kyle Shanahan and all of that. And it's not quite materialized. I do agree with you there. And I think you're right. I think the 49ers have to score points to beat this Dolphins team. Like you have to score points to beat them.
Solid defenses. So you can give them a push on that. But I think with the explosiveness of the Dolphins offense, I just think it's too much for them for the 49ers offense to combat with the whole game. You know, like they're not going to be able to win a shootout with the Dolphins team. And this game is going to be whoever can score on them defenses. So I just got to give the edge to the Dolphins.
I think it's a good test for both teams to see where they're at.
It's almost like a playoff match, I feel.
Yeah, where two teams, they're both going to be in playoffs, and they're both going to probably win their divisions. So, because I don't think the Bills hold that division. I don't. I think Miami ends up. It's because of the schedules. If you go look at the schedule, I think Miami ends up pulling that out. But I think this is a good test for both teams because we all expect both of these teams to be pretty good and make some noise in the playoffs. I think so. With that, I think if the Dolphins win, people will be like, "Yep, they should have." But I think if the 49ers win, people are going to be like, maybe we should take this 49ers team a little more seriously.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think there has been a trend towards a lot more defense this year as well. Like we're seeing the trend towards the rush game, and we're seeing the trend towards defense more than we've been seeing it over the past few years. It's almost like defenses have caught up in the NFL this year. But one team that nobody's caught up to is the Dolphins offense so far this year. Like they're something else. They're a totally different animal to the other one. So if the 49ers can slow the Dolphins down to a point, so if the 49ers offense goes off, you're like, right, okay, cool. Like that's just happened. Like that's a great way to win. But if the 49ers defense can slow down this Dolphins offense, you're like, fuck, like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And now
Sorry, go ahead.
Has Tua lost a game this season?
No, I don't think they've lost a game that he played the full game in.
So if you also factor that in, the Dolphins, we could say would probably be undefeated at that point. You know what I'm saying? So then we're moving the Dolphins all the way up there, with the Eagles a few weeks ago. So you kind of got to look at it like that.
Bringing up the Eagles too, this has really shocked me. All three of us picked the Eagles to lose this week.
Yeah,
what made you pick the Titans?
I don't know. I fully agree with you guys on that one. I feel like it's almost an upset pick, I guess, but it doesn't feel like an upset pick. And I don't know, the Eagles, they're just getting unhealthy at the wrong time, and they just seem to be, declining at this point. Still a good team, but they're declining right now.
Yeah, and I feel like a 10-1 team just has to hit a wall at some point.
Yeah, basically. So.
Well, I was shocked to see the Raiders on there because I know your love-hate with the Raiders and the Derek Carr Raiders. Let's put it that way.
Yep, so the Raiders should win this as long as they rely on Josh Jacobs. As long as Derek Carr doesn't mess up the game, it should be an easy win for them. Chargers really don't have that much of a team, so.
Jacobs in that, what was that, an 81-yard run to seal that game?
Yeah, when Jacobs good, we're fine, but when we pass the ball, not so much.
And then was there any part of you that was leaning Cincinnati, or were you just always KC? I jumped on the KC bandwagon right away, but I can see why some people thought like Cincinnati could win this game.
No, not at all. Like when I seen that was probably the first pick I made. I was like, all right, this is a lock, So, yeah, that should just be an easy game for Kansas. I could come in a shootout, but then Kansas City pulling away by, like 2 scores or something at the end. Maybe they win by 3.
I think we all agree that's a lock, which probably means Cincinnati's going to win.
Yeah, 100%, right?
Burrow and Chase are going to come out and have the game of their life, so.
Yeah, and if you're Jamar Chase, how many weeks have you been out? You just want to fucking play. I wouldn't be shocked if he went off.
Yeah.
He's still questionable, by the way, on the list. Like,
Well, yeah, if you're
put
on
that
the
out there.
injury report, you're always listed as questionable.
Yeah, so but that injury's still there. Like that injury won't fix until the end of the season. Like he has to get, like he can play with it, but it's still an injury. I think do you know what I'm doing? I'm just setting myself up for not being too disappointed if he doesn't go off because he's in my fantasy team. And I've been waiting for him to be back in my fantasy team for weeks now. So I think I'm just setting myself up to not be
changes in
disappointed.
warm-ups as of 2 hours ago. He's playing.
Cool. That's good. I'm also
All right,
like,
guys.
yeah.
Well, we made it through this week too. And thanks again, Shug, for coming on. I always enjoy your picks and talking to you about them.
No problem.
And Maddie, anything? Either of you guys got anything before we get out of here, since it's almost kickoff? And
yeah, Travel Story Society episodes, Series 2, Episode 1 released on Tuesday, and they'll be coming out every single Tuesday. From
what are we talking in the first episode?
Yeah, so the first episode is with somebody called the Travel Munchers, and she basically takes us through her favorite travel destinations that she's ever been to, her bucket list destinations that she still wants to go to, funniest travel stories, scariest travel stories, all of that kind of stuff. We go to some really cool places. The next episodes are with people who've written for National Geographic. We've got some people who are really big influencers on Instagram. We've got a travel writer who's had stuff in the New York Times and the Guardian and all of those kind of things as well. So yeah, keep tuned for that, everyone. Every Thursday, maybe Tuesday, depending on how times work in Thailand.
All right, guys, and go over and get the newest magazine at overtimehustling.com. You got me, you got Payne Gusto. Look at that fucking Tampa shirt. That thing's badass. You got Free Smoke in here, Little Diesel, Mooch. I mean, it's a great magazine. I read through the whole thing cover to cover already, and I thought I would just end up reading my own interview, but I didn't. I read everybody else's. And the Payne Gusto interview is the most Payne Gusto interview ever, so make sure you go check that out because that is the most Payne Gusto interview ever. All right, guys, make sure you go over to Overtime Hustling, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already on Yankee and the Brit. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned because we'll have more for you coming up on Thursday. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.